This video is not about set collecting or autographs. Well, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie. I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. You know, set boxes are the #1 selling boxes at LGS's. And inside every one of those packs in a set box is one of these beautiful art cards highlighting the amazing artwork of Magic the Gathering. And on the back, it's got a place where it can get signed, and they've even got a number. You can collect the whole set. But inevitably, what happens with these is that customers and people in my store just start asking, like, what am I supposed to do with them? Do I throw them away? They give them to me. They're like, hey, like, do you want this? I'm like, what am I supposed to do with it? And these cards just kind of accumulate and pile up, and everyone kind of asks the question, are they worth it? Is it really worth it for Wizards to put them into the boxes? You know, it begs this question, what is the purpose of these cards? For Wizards, they appear to think that the purpose of these cards is to sell more boxes. They put it right there on the label, on the box, an art card in every box. Just like you get a foil in every box, you also get an art card in every box. And you know, they even add this chase to it, and they add these, like, this is a Seb McKinnon one, and it's autographed right there. Look at that shiny little autograph, pretty cool. And some of these sell for $3, $4, $5. But what do you do with the rest of these? Honestly, I think that these cards are really, really cool, and I love that Magic did it. You know, Magic has some of the best artists in the fantasy realm, in, you know, all fantasy art, and other card games even like brag whenever they get a Magic artist, because Magic art is incredible and it's really, really cool. But I think there's gotta be more to it than that. There's gotta be some purpose to these cards. So I wanted to take a look at 4 ways that I have personally found to utilize these art cards to hopefully help you find some purpose for the art cards that you're opening up in packs. The best use, I'm gonna give you the best right now. The best use that I have found for these cards is actually for labeling commander decks. These are my old commander boxes. This was the dinosaur box. And I cut the art cards to fit on, had like a Channel Fireball square box. And you just cut the artwork and it fits right there. And then you just kind of label it. And I actually took the old different art cards that I didn't like, and I cut them to fit here because you can write with a Sharpie really well on it, and I labeled my boxes. Recently I have upgraded my deck boxes to these awesome Gametic ones that have like a, you know, they like fold out, they're like fancy, whatever. And I made them even a little bit more fancy so they fit right, and I cut it sideways, they're diagonal like them. I have found that this is a really, really cool way to utilize these art cards because it makes your commander decks really pop. When you open up your bag or your box of commander decks, it just, people look at it and it's kind of cool, and it shows, you know, we all put so much time and effort into building our commander decks, and a lot of us put a lot of money into our commander decks. Why not put some time and effort into making the display or the organization of those commander decks also look really cool? That's something that for me was really important, and I like having things kind of organized. So for me, it was a really cool way to organize the commander decks. One of the cool things about Magic is when you play a card, you recognize the card based on the artwork. And in this way, I recognize the commander based on the artwork that I have chosen for said commander deck. Now, this gets a little bit hairy because sometimes you don't have the perfect art card to go with it. So sometimes I start chasing those art cards. Other times I just kind of pick a card that kind of goes with the theme of the deck. If it's, you know, a lands deck, it doesn't have to be exactly the commander or anything like that. I just find a really cool land artwork that works with it. So it's a great way to highlight the deck and show you, you know, what deck you're gonna be pulling. And then it gets some eyeballs on your decks as well. The second thing that I think is a really cool way that I have seen, I haven't personally done this, but I've seen other people do this whenever I order cards on TCG Player, is that they will actually protect the card that you are ordering with 2 art cards. So you know, your card will come between 2 art cards in the packing order, and then that whole thing is also packaged in like a top loader or one of those, you know, cardboard sleeves or whatever it is. I think that that's a really cool use for the cards, so you're not just throwing them away. Maybe the person on the other end does collect these art cards or utilizes them in some way, and it allows them to have something that maybe they wanted. And then as a store, you're kind of, you know, you're given more, or as a, you know, I guess if you're not a store, if you're just a person on TCG Player, you're given a little extra mile. So maybe if you mess up an order, or something goes wrong with the shipping speed, when they get it, they're a little bit more impressed, and they're like, oh, this is cool, it's okay, I got 2 art cards. I don't know. Definitely a really cool way to utilize those cards though. The third way that I have seen people utilize these is actually for casual decks. Now you can't do this at an LGS, you obviously can't do it at a competitive tournament, but for casual games, you know, around your kitchen table, they actually replace their basic lands with the same art. They actually go and buy the artwork on TCG Player. These are all listed on TCG Player. So they go and buy the same art on TCG Player, and they kind of full art their lands, their basic lands out. And I think this is a really, really cool way to do things. It is a little bit thinner. These cards are a little bit thinner. So it definitely probably, like if you came into an LGS, you could get in trouble for that. So I don't recommend it. Now most LGSs are gonna have basic lands for you to change out your lands if you need to. But, you know, maybe in a commander deck or something like that, if your play group's okay with it, go ahead and replace your basic lands with these cool cards to kind of flash out that deck. And I think that's a really, really cool way to do it. And the last thing I have seen people use these for is really cool. It was in a Dungeons and Dragons game, and the DM had a whole binder full of these cards. And whenever the party would go to a location, or they would, you know, they would meet and encounter a villain or an NPC, they would actually have these cards that they could hand to the players to see an image of what that NPC looked like, or an image of what that village looked like, or what that landscape looked like. And it really helped players get involved in the game, and it really gave us something to look at. I thought that was a really, really cool use. You know, not everybody wants to spend a lot of printer ink to print things off and to have exactly all that stuff going. Not everybody buys the books, and people like to homebrew campaigns. So these are just another tool that DMs can utilize in Dungeons and Dragons. I thought that was really, really cool. But I'm very curious what you think. What are some ways that you have utilized these art cards outside of just like using them for the artists? You know, like how many of us are really gonna meet Seb McKinnon compared to how many of us are gonna open set booster boxes and get these art cards? If I meet Seb McKinnon, I would love for him to sign my not really signed Seb McKinnon card. But there's gotta be more uses for them. And then like, I think it's cool to collect these, but again, you're just sliding them in a binder. It seems like a waste. They're so beautiful and they're so cool. So I'm really curious what you have done with those art cards. Leave it in the comment section below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you hit like and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying content like this. Remember to be kind to the people around you, and we'll see you again next video.